Before the automation of the 1970s, a lighthouse required at least 2 keepers, one to operate the beacon while the other slept. If only 2 were stationed, because they had to work and live in close quarters, there was always the danger that one man would murder the other. Better to assign 3 men. In that case, what possibly could go wrong? The Flannan Islands are 7 rocky spurs that suffer harsh North Atlantic weather. Stony outcrops endanger shipping vessels, which stray but slightly off course in the absence of a working lighthouse. Thus one was built on the largest of the islands, Eilean Mor, which is only a few hundred yards across. The standard crew of 3 lighthouse keepers was stranded on Eilean Mor because the isle had no boat of its own. There were no beaches, only steep faces of cliff on all sides. Supplies or visitors were fitted with a harness and hoisted ashore by winch and crane. The Northern Lighthouse Board of Scotland, or the NLB, mandated that men on duty be rotated out one at a time. On the day after Christmas, the relief vessel Hesperus arrived, but there was no one on the landing to operate the crane. The Hesperus fired off a rocket to get the attention of the station. No one came in response to the flare. The ship lowered a boat, and the relief man alone was able to make it ashore. At the lighthouse keeper's cottage, he found the door closed, but unlocked. When he opened it, 3 birds with dark feathers flew out of the door, of a species he could not identify. Inside, the beds were neatly made. The station was tidy. The dishes were clean. Their last meal had been a lunch. No sign of distress. The captain of the Hesperus dispatched a wireless telegram to the NLB that all 3 men had vanished into the night without a trace. The superintendent of the NLB investigated the island. 3 sets of outdoor gear had been issued, waterproof coats, called oilskins. Only 2 were missing. The 3rd oilskin was still on a hook in the cottage. The superintendent copied the most recent entries from the logbook. After he left the island, the logbook disappeared. The log reported unusually calm weather. Computer analysis of historical area records confirmed calm weather leading up to the day of the last entry, and for several days thereafter. The log also reported tensions between the men. Thomas Marshall was the gentle giant, but he became unusually quiet and withdrawn. James Ducat was the senior lighthouse keeper with decades of experience. He would never allow the cardinal rule to be broken. One man was to stay inside the cottage at all times. The 3rd man, Donald MacArthur, was a drinker who often got into fights at the pub. Only conjecture remains to explain the disappearance. Were they swept away by waves from a sea quake? or captured by a ghost ship, or devoured by a sea monster. Perhaps they were abducted by aliens. Perhaps the supervisor, Ducat, confiscated a bottle of rum that MacArthur had smuggled onto the island and locked it up. The good-natured marshal was in the lighthouse, waiting to be relieved by the chief. MacArthur tiptoed outside, leaving his coat behind on the hook, to make it look like he was still in bed. He waited for Ducat to appear. He only wanted the key to the locker, but his club came down a little hard, cracking open the skull of the supervisor. When Marshall finally left his post in the lighthouse, intending to wake up his relief, he was subjected to the vilest of crimes, when MacArthur committed a second murder to cover the first. It would have been easy for MacArthur to dispose of the bodies and invent a cover story. But as is often the case with short-tempered bullies, MacArthur was also weak-willed. And when he woke up the next morning, he was so stricken with remorse that he threw himself into the sea, just because he had sobered up.